I hope everyone's had a good day so far. Today's demonstration is on InDesign. So we're not just going to go through InDesign in all the new latest, greatest things. We're just going to go through a whole lot of just tips and things that some people might know. I've gradually got a broad audience here today. So usually InDesign used to be just for designers, but now you're finding kids in school using InDesign to do their homework, teachers. I've even got a lot of government agencies now that are using InDesign to do all their presentations. So it's a lot more broader audience now that uses InDesign, previously what we did 15 years ago. So first of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name's Aaron Riches. I have been using InDesign since the very, very first one, and things have changed a fair bit since then. I run my own design and print company. And we do everything, print, from print to signage, to events, to electronic stuff, everything. You do anything that's got print on it, my company does. We're only a small company with about 4 staff. So we're not just someone that's going out demonstrating InDesign. I'm probably like most of you that are using InDesign till 3 o'clock in the morning most nights, getting stuff ready for the next day. So I don't think it changes anywhere you work or anything you do. Most designers that work for themselves are usually up till all hours in the morning, and then you send it to them at 3 o'clock in the morning and they ring you at 8 o'clock with the first round of corrections. So I'm in the trenches like everyone else. So hopefully today we can get you to bed at least by 1 o'clock, if you're like me, up till 3. So the first thing I'm going to show you is everyone here on the latest version of CC? Okay, I should hope so. Like years ago when I used to do training, I used to go out and someone would be on version 5, the next version would be on version 6, the next version would be on version 7. But there's no excuses these days for everyone not to have the latest version. Because if you're paying for a crowd membership, it's simply just a click and update. And the benefits of it being on the latest version is there's no reason to be scared anymore. Oh, my files won't open, or my files will be different. I can tell you now, files that I've used 10 years ago, opening up in the latest version, open up fine, no issues. I know people worry about that, but if you're going to have these things with bugs on your system and stuff, you really want to make sure, this goes for all your Adobe software, that you keep those updates flowing. And it's going to make sure that your work environment is faster and less hassles. Is that a question, sorry? No? Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show everyone about the latest version is something that probably people out there that, I hope I've got no designers in Word and Publisher in the room, because they might get picked on today. But when I first saw this thing come up in InDesign, I was sort of probably like yous out there, oh, we don't need templates to design. We're designers. We all don't need templates to design. But I found a real asset for them in my line of work and what I'm doing. The first thing it is, a lot of my kids will want to do school assignments, or I've got people that love jobs. And someone asks you, oh, you're a designer, can you design this? And everyone in this room, the designer, will have it happen to them. And you really don't want to do it, but you're obligated to do it because it's a friend of a friend's auntie's uncle. So you go in, you think, oh, really, you haven't got the motivation to do it. So you get one of these templates, and you're not just restricted to the templates that are on this particular page. So if we go to our print page, you've got all these. Who in the room has used Adobe Stock so far? Any? Okay, now as a designer, our clients have got lazier over the years. They want everything quicker, but they've got lazier. So they're getting us to design jobs and they're not giving images. Now I know most of you in the room, designers, were using things like Shutterstock, iStock Photo, Vector Stock, RF Images 1, 2, 3, all fantastic tools. Now I've been using those for years, but in the last 12 months, I've found myself really just using probably Adobe Stock to about 90% instead of using those other ones. I've found that the selection in there has been fantastic of vector versus raster, and I've found it a real asset to my workflow, which we're going to go through today. So if you haven't used it and you've been a bit skeptical, I'd tell you to give it a go. If you've used it 3 or 4 years ago, and you weren't happy with it, go back and give it another go now, because I've found it a real asset. So, as I was saying with these templates, yeah, if you're a designer, you're not going to go and say, right, I'm going to use a template and recreate it. I know that we've got we're designers, we've got a trade behind us, we've got to come up with our own designs. But it is a great learning tool or starting point for someone that's not a designer. That yet someone that is a designer, that has that old design block at 3 o'clock in the morning and they've got to get something out for the next day, it's a great way for you to go through and say, you know what, they want something like this, let's start that. Now I guarantee you, if you're a true designer, you can see there's pages of it, and I'll go through some other ones. If you're a true designer, by the time you finish the job, it's going to look nothing like the template anyway. but it's going to give you that starting point that's going to help you make something engaging for your client quicker and easier. So we're going to start with one today, just so I can show you some things that you can do, and I'm going to introduce some new tools or really what I'm trying to do today is that I'm at the back end of the thing. I still do designs myself, but we're outputting for other designers, print, signage, mediums, everything that you can think of, we're outputting all the day. So I'm that person that sometimes has to make the call to you and go, you know those files you sent me? I've got a problem. Okay? So hopefully by the end of the day, you don't get any of those phone calls anymore, because I'm sure we're used to getting them. Okay, so what we're going to start with is we're going to start with a newsletter. Has anyone opened one of these templates before? One person. Okay. Okay, so when I click on them, right, I go here and I click on open, and I can say open in InDesign. So basically, hopefully the network's really going to work quick. It's going to pop open straight away. I'm going to get a little message on screen. I'm just going to hit create. I'm going to have that silent bit while it's downloading. So it's going to pop open. It's going to pop open on InDesign very soon. And it's going to give me a template which is fully editable. So it's just like someone giving you an InDesign document and saying, edit it for me. Now the first message, there has to be no one in the room that hasn't seen this text box come up before. Okay? It is probably, as someone that's a service provider, it's probably my first thing where I've just gone no, and then I'm straight away on the free fonts libraries trying to find the fonts that the client's used because it's late at night and I can't get to them, they need it tomorrow. Now, there is a tool in Adobe which is called Adobe Typekit. Okay? So rather than just going close here and changing the font, I haven't done it on this brochure, so I'm fingers crossed it does work, but I can just hit sync fonts. And what Adobe will do, it will go into Adobe Typekit and it will find those fonts and sync them to the job. Let's hope it worked, and it did. So therefore, so that is the first thing that you should do now when you get that job. So you can see, I didn't have those fonts loaded in my system. Through the Adobe Typekit, which is available free for everyone here in this room that's got the cloud membership, it's gone through, found those fonts and loaded them on my system. Now here's my chance for the first handy hint. If you do a package your document and you go file, package your document, and you package your document to send it to a service provider as opposed to sending a high resolution PDF file, and you're on a PC and they're on a Mac or vice versa, if you keep the fonts that package in the fonts folder and you open InDesign, even if you're on a different system, it will load those fonts and allow you to use them. Okay, so it's just a little tip that I like to give everyone. So here you can see is our template. Now, the first thing I want to show to everyone on the template, when you do download one of these templates, is because, and I get to use this function about twice a year, so I get to zoom in and show you. So you can see on the top here it says A4 and US. Okay, on all the templates I've ever tested, it gives you that all the time. It gives you the Australian where we work in the A series, A4, A2, A3, A1, and it gives you the US letters. So that happens on every single template. Even if it's an 8-page document, you'll have the first 8 pages and the second 8 pages in the US sizes, unless it's a business card or a greeting card. So we just simply go in and delete that one to start with. Now, as I said to us earlier on, if a lot of our clients are getting lazier now and they're not sending us anything. Years ago, when you got a job, when I first started, they give you the photos, they give you the text, and they give you that. Now they say, I haven't got the text ready, I haven't got any photos, but can you design something up for me? I mean, I'm sure everyone's experiencing that these days. So that's when I'd say, right, let's go and find some placeholder images. But if you put some placeholder images in the document that don't relate back to what they're talking about, they go, well, it doesn't really relate. So this is where it's become real quick and easy for us. If I click on this image here, and I click on this little ST up the top right-hand corner, it opens up Shutterstock Direct. Now we're going to make this a rainforest document. We're going to say it's saving our rainforest document. So all I do is make sure that I'm clicked on images, and I'm going to type in the word rainforest. Hit OK. Whole heap of images will come up. We're going to like that one there. And I click on that image, and I go preview in, and I scroll down InDesign. This works in all our applications. So I go preview in InDesign. That image straight away will come from Shutterstock. It's not Shutterstock, sorry. Adobe Stock Library. and it will go straight into my document quickly. So you can see it straight away, put it into my document. Okay, now where those images stored is a thing called CC libraries. Has anyone dealt with CC libraries yet in the room? Good, that's good. I'm glad that some people have. Okay, so what I'll just explain quickly about CC libraries is when we have CC libraries, we can make our own library up, or if I download something from Adobe Stock, it'll go into my downloads part of my CC libraries. As we go along, I'm going to go through a lot more things in CC libraries, but it's just a new way for us to import files into our documents and also share our files with other users. Okay, so for this particular case here, I've got my rainforest image, and I'm going to just make it quickly fit to screen. We've all used these functions fit to screen before. And then I've got some other images over here that I've actually downloaded later on, or just downloaded for today's project. So you can see I've got some other rainforest images. Now, if I get this picture of the toucan, and I drag it over to the box, hold down the Option on a Mac, Alt for a PC, you can see it puts the toucan straight into the folder. Now, the thing is that though it's straight in the folder, you can see that I've still got to go off and fit proportionally or fit to frame. So I don't want to have to do that on every single image. And I don't want to have to do that all the time. Now this is where we can go back to our thing that's been available so long, and we can make up an object style. So people are using object styles in the room? Okay, good. So basically what an object style is, if we're not using paragraph styles in InDesign, you know from everyone in the room's opened a Word document and we've got text formatting. So we can have that text that's formatting. InDesign works the same way with paragraph styles. And I'm not going to go through paragraph styles today, but I'll happily show people afterwards today in question and answer how to make them all up. Easy, best thing it should be doing. But we can also have styles for all our objects. So for instance, if I go into my styles and I go into object styles, I can create a new style, and I can call this style fit to frame. Now I can spell frame right, Aaron? I can do lots of things in this object style. I can tell it the colour of a box. I can tell it to have rounded corners. I can tell that box to have drop shadow. I can tell that box to do everything. And the beauty of doing this is if I set object styles up for the objects I've got in the document, if my client makes changes, which clients never do, and they say, I hate the drop shadow, I only have to take the drop shadow off in the object style, and it'll take it off on all those boxes I've applied it to in the document. So what I'm going to do is on this particular one, I am going to go through and I'm going to put some corner options on it, just so we can see it on screen. I'm going to put some rounded corners. And in my fitting options, I'm going to go auto fit, and I'm going to say fill frame proportionally, and I'm going to hit OK. Now, I must have done that wrong. Auto fit, fill frame proportionally. So now I'm going to apply that fill frame option to all the folders, and for some reason I've just won one of the settings wrong there. Sorry guys. Even fit, I wrote fill, should be fit, sorry. Don't you hate that? I've done this a billion times in my life, and do you know how many times I rehearsed this and never had an issue and said, I don't have to rehearse this anymore, I've done it 1,000 times. So every time I drop the picture in, I'm going to cheat, it should just fit the frame proportionally. Okay, we'll have a look at that later on. So basically, when I'm dropping pictures in from over here, it's going to fit the frame proportionally as it's doing now, and I go over here, and it was going to just go fit the frame proportionally like that, and I'm going to go here, and it's going to fit the frame proportionally. Now, where the object styles is great when they work 100% and I make a mistake, actually, if I clear overrides, it'll be right, is that if I basically go down to my corner options now, and I said they don't like the rounded corners, and I take them back to square corners, and I hit OK, you can see all my round corners went back to square corners. So it's an easy option for me to do it. Now, I could have done round corners elsewhere. I could have individually clicked on each of those objects and put round corners on it. I could have individually clicked on fill to frame like I did in the end anyway and done it. But basically, that is a way that we should be setting our documents up with object styles. So when we're doing changes, we can do them quicker. Now, the next thing on this particular job is it's still looking like the template a little bit here. So the next thing I want to show you is finding colours. Now, if your client's got corporate colours, that's great. But I know that although a lot of us are designers, we're not colour experts in the room. So has anyone used to use the cooler function, where they used to use colours for that? Great. We've got a couple of people out there that use it. So I actually love this function when you're designing stuff. So sometimes when I'm designing an image and I've got images into my document, a lot of times I'll actually click on one of the text boxes and I'll use my eyedropper tool and I'll try to pick up a colour out of one of the images, just like that, to colour my document. So I get colours that relate back, and you know that the pictures in your document are going to relate back to some of the colours in your boxes and things like that. So I'll just pick colours up randomly through the document through the eyedropper tool like that. Now, although that's fantastic, it can be a little bit time-consuming, especially this is only a one-page document, but we could be having a 50-page template book that we're trying to do quickly. So a better way for us to do it is to go into our colour library and we go into the Adobe colour themes. Now from here, we can pick colour ranges that we can add to our document. So for instance, when I click on the Explore button, and come on, I'm just pairing from my phone here, so yep, when I hit the Explore button and I say to myself, right, I want to have a beach theme, and I just type in the word beach, and I say, what are the most popular beach themes? It's going to pop up a whole lot of lists of the most popular beach themes that I can just add. Well, you just type in that again. I'll just scroll down rather. I'll try to get it to all the different ones. So basically, if I scroll down here, you can see it's got a whole lot of beach themes that you can see are, just get my window. There we go, there's some more coming up now. I don't know why when I type beach. So you can see we've got a whole different lot of beach colour riches that we can use, and we can apply those colours to our document. Now, I'm not doing a beach document in this presentation. We're doing a rainforest document. So I'm going to type in the word rainforest. Wait for it to catch up. Okay, I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to find one that I like. Okay, so this one here as I like. I click on the little button underneath and I say add to my swatches. Now if you watch over here on my swatches panel, you watch what happens over here. All of a sudden all those colours from over here are added to my swatches panel. So I've got a nice lot of colours that I know work in colour harmony, the hues work together, and it's going to make my presentation look very professional and good at a moment's glance. Now once again, I can go through and I can click on this box and I can apply the colours. But over the years, I've got, I wouldn't say lazy, but I want things to happen a lot quicker because I'm usually doing 10 things at once. So one way I cheat, and I'm going to show you a little tip now on a way to cheat, but also something that you can use yourself. Now, a lot of people would go through and they would put the colour together and they could merge colours. But all I do is I make sure that I go into this box here and I make sure that all unnamed colours are added to my swatches box, like so. Then all I do is go up here, I delete that colour. When I delete it, it says what colour you want to change it with. I say change it with that green, hit OK. I then delete this colour. It says what do you want to change it with. I pick one of the other colours, and so on for all the colours in the document till all the other colours are gone and I've only used the new colours that I've just picked up. And that's why I found that I don't ever get any of the old colours left in the document, especially with the yellow there. You might accidentally use one of the yellow looks very similar to the other yellow. You might accidentally use the same yellow again. That way I know that my document only consists of the new colours that I brought in. Now, has there anyone been doing that sort of stuff out there? Yep, great. That's great. Now, the other way that I use this tool a fair bit is sometimes people send us spot colour jobs, or they want their jobs in one colour. And I'm flicking through a great big book, and I've got my preview on. I'm trying to find where they've used CYMK because they always do it to me. What I generally do in that situation is I go in here and I change one of the colours that I'm trying to look at to a colour that really stands out. And then I flick through my document and then I can see where that colour's been used or someone's used the wrong colour. So that's just a little tip that I do myself when I'm trying to find colours in a document. I'm just going to have a quick look here. Anything else on these ones? Okay, so the last thing I'll show you on this is I've sent this job to the client and the client's happy with the job. Naturally, we don't want to print the jobs with the watermarks on it. And this is the bit that I really love about Adobe Stock, is that I don't have to go back into the other program, type in the number, download the picture, then update it in my links. All I have to do with Adobe Stock is click in the top right-hand corner there. It'll actually search for the image through the Adobe Stock library. It'll say, do you want to purchase it? You'll see it in a second. And basically, I'm going to hit OK. I'm happy to purchase that image. And it will then update that image to the full version. And it's going to update it everywhere where it's been used in the document. So I'm saving myself more time by not going backwards and forwards. So I'm not going to keep going through that. You have to trust me that it works. I'll give it another second. Just the internet, that's all. Right. I'm pairing this from my phone, guys, sorry. So, all right. So, is there many people that do big campaigns here, where they're asked to do A1 posters and DL flyers? And what I've found these days is I've been doing a lot of big flyers, then on posters, and then they'll say to me, oh, we've got electronic screens, or we've got cash registers, and we want you to quickly do that same artwork on a cash register, but we forgot to tell you and we need it today, okay? So here's just a quick poster that I did up last night, just a sale brochure. That company doesn't exist. I've made it all up, okay, with all Shutterstock images. And I'm going to turn around, and the client said to me, I want some DL flyers, and I want them printed today. Now, yes, I could just copy and paste this artwork into another document, reduce it down, and do all that sort of stuff. And, you know, we could do it pretty quickly. But a quicker way for us to do that these days, if we go into our pages, and I basically just go duplicate spread, and I just make another copy of that on my document. Okay, I've got nothing on the master page too on this document, just to let everyone know. And then I go into this tool here. Now, this particular tool is the page tool, and it does have a function. It's not just the tool that you've accidentally picked instead of the direct sectional tool. It has a tool that has a function. Is there anyone that's using this tool? Yes, I'm glad. Okay, so I found this tool so handy for especially what I'm doing. So basically, I click on this tool here, and I say, I've got this particular document, and at the moment, I'm going to use the scale function, and instead of being A4, I want to make it a custom size, and the custom size I want to make it is 99 by 210, which, if I hit cancel there, you can see it's DL size. So I just want to go to DL size there. By doing that, it automatically converts my artwork down to DL size. Now, some of you are standing back there, and I know you're saying, but it's still not right. I've still got to fix it up. Yes, you've still got to fix it up. Yes, you could have easily just drawn a text box and put a PDF file in there. But on the PDF file, you can't then turn around with your selection tool, select the whole lot, and drag it up like this, drag it down like that, and the image is still, hasn't been scaled out of proportion. Okay, this oval circle here is gone a bit wonky, but we can easily just drag that back. But not only that, I can just move all the text around. So I've easily created, from my poster in a matter of seconds, a DL flyer. Now I can easily just say, right, I want that text a little bit bigger on the DL flyer, and I can go up to 60% there. So nice and quick and easy, from my first poster work, I've created my DL flyer. Not only have I easily created my DL flyer, which if I get in my pages size, is set up to DL size, and my A4 document is still set up to A4 size. So I've got an A4 file and a DL file in the same document. So if a client makes a change on this document, they say, you made a spelling mistake, I can just go Command F, find that word, change it that word, and it's going to change it on the whole campaign. I don't have to go open this file, open the DL file, open the... I'm doing it the whole campaign. Then my client turns around at the last minute and says, I want the cash register screens. You go, yes, not a problem. Do you know a size? No, sorry, we don't know the size, because that's the answer you're going to get. So we basically go, rightio, not a problem. I know that they've got to be landscape, So I duplicate the page, as you saw I just did then. Sorry, I did it without telling. Just went into duplicate spread. I click on that page. I go to the page tool. Now this time, instead of doing it to a specification, I just click and drag. I say, yeah, that looks about the size that they sent me. Whoops, got to hold down the Option key once you let it go. Okay, now that I've got that on screen, the same deal that I did before, quickly and easily, I just go into here and I go drag out this side, drag out that side. I might move this sail thing up here, make the logo bigger up there, and fix up our box. And you can see quickly and easy, we've got something which is straight from the poster file that works as something that they can put on the cash register. Is that something that people are doing now when they're doing InDesign? They're doing things that quick and easy. It's just, years ago we were spending a lot of time making new files and doing resizing. This is the way that we need to do it because everyone wants everything straight away. Now the one that I love the most in here before I move on from this is basically, if I go into my pages, can anyone in the room tell me what size, because this is just for me to know, what size is A1? The correct size for A1 is 594 by 841, okay? But unfortunately out there, every time we do posters, my clients say, I want an A1 size, but they mean 600 by 900. So you have to ask the client what they want. Now, if I do something to A1 size, and it's from an A4, it scales up perfectly. But if I go to that 600 by 900, I always have that problem. And it doesn't matter because the printer will fix it. But that's me. I'm that one fixing it. So what I love about this function is it makes it quicker and easy for me to make that 5-second fix, you'll be right, where we just go into here, we choose our 600 by 900, and for a user out there to know, you can see that it doesn't quite work, and then I can just go in and quickly make the changes so it does work to 600 by 900. That's been one of the benefits for us having this tool. When people don't do, they assume sizes, and it happens all the time. I'm surprised how many designers out there that don't know the A series, you'd be horrified. So, don't hide if you're one of those people, just pretend I didn't say it. So, the other thing is too, and I just have to point this out, does everyone in the room know you can export JPEGs directly from InDesign? Okay, I'll just show people that don't, just in case someone doesn't know. If you have got a particular file that you need, like this one needs to go for the cash register, you can quickly and easily export that page as a JPEG file directly from InDesign. We'll just do page 2, and I just tell it what resolution I want. 72 will be fine for screen. And I can quickly and easy export a full InDesign page as a JPEG file so someone can use on a media player, on a cash register screen, or etc. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the thing which is a real exciting thing, which is our CC libraries. Okay, so with our CC libraries, what it is that years ago when we were doing, if someone in the room's done style guides for companies with logos and things like that, and you're always trying to promote people to make sure they use the right colours, to make sure they use the right logos. So we're always setting in the files, and then people say, oh, I wasn't sent the files. So now instead of sending files, what we can actually do is we can send CC libraries with jobs. So if I was doing the poster for this job, and then I had someone else working on other parts of the job, they might be working on the internet, on doing a web page. They might be doing something in Photoshop. To make sure that we're all doing everything correct, basically what we can do is we can set up a CC library. And it's as simple as going into our CC library and hitting Create New. Now, I'm only going to touch on this today, but Carrie next door is doing a whole session just on CC libraries today. So because it's run at the same time, if you missed it, I would guarantee if it's something you want to do, download her session and watch the whole hour version of CC libraries. Okay, so basically I create up a CC library, and within this library, I just drag and drop elements that other people might be able to use. So I say, yep, they might want to use that artwork there, they might be able to use the sale artwork, they might be wanting to use that. And then basically, when a person's creating a new document, they can just go in and go, right, I want to use that picture that Aaron used on that job there. And I can send them this library. So I just go up here and go, share link, and I share them that library, and then they have got access to all those images. So they get a link with all those images in it. and they can just share it between it. I'm going to do, as we're working through some of the other demos today, I'm going to use the CC library so you can see how it actually works in a working environment. But it is a great tool for sharing and working in a network with people. If we're working in a company that has multiple designers working on the one campaign, it's really something that I suggest you using to ensure that you've got the right font, because not only can we share the actual thing, I can say add character style, and I can add a character style in here. So I can add all those types of things in here to this CC document. Now the one that I love the most, is my favourite, is when I go into the swatches, I can actually add, and I'll go into my Make It Dive Shop CC thing, I can actually add from my swatches the colours. So I can add the Pantone colours throughout the document. Because surely everyone in the room has said someone's used an older version of Illustrator and it's not put the same colour as your latest version of Illustrator. Someone's done some of the job in InDesign and next part of the job in Illustrator and it's a lower version, or Photoshop, and you think it looks great on screen, everyone approves the job, and you hold the printed job in your hand and you see where you've got the two oranges joined together and they're different. We've all seen that before. We've all had that happen before. So this way, by sharing our library, and if I open up Illustrator right now, and I just open up anything in Illustrator, and I go to my library, you'll see that those library is available in Illustrator, and I can just open a box in Illustrator and colour that box using that same colour in Illustrator that I've just done from InDesign, without having to copy an element from Illustrator over to InDesign to get the colour. We use these libraries to, and not only that, artwork that I've created in InDesign, I can bring over to Illustrator just like that. Or if I went to that image that I just jumped in the new one, created that image in InDesign, I can drop that into Illustrator quick and easy like that as well. So it's a great way for us to share our tools. Back when I first started on InDesign, every time we have to put an image into a document, it had to be either an EPS file that was 100% right, there couldn't be one little thing wrong with it, or it had to be a TIFF file. And every single time we put a picture into a document, we were just basically going, just go to a file. We basically were just going file place. That was the only option that we had to putting pictures into documents. And now you can see through CC libraries, we can drag and drop, through Adobe Bridge, we can still go into Adobe Bridge and we can drag and drop images from Adobe Bridge into our documents. And not only are we seeing images, we're seeing all the images I want. So right in front of my eyes, I can say, no, I don't really want that image. I want that particular image. And with the drag and drop function of InDesign, really speeds up our workflow. Okay. Okay, so more on sharing our files with each other and making sure that the right files are used. You can see now, here is a letterhead I've done up for this dive shop. Now, can anyone notice one of the obvious problems with the letterhead here? Well, the other file was orange and blue, and this one, it's orange and yellow. Okay, so I've already done the letterhead on one file, and I've done the with comps on another file. Now, the way that I've set these files up, if I go in and I draw a box on the screen, I add my colour that we just saw me add on the last job over here, then I delete my yellow and change it to orange, you'll see that it adds up on changes on there. Simple, easy. What it has done also that you won't notice is because I've created the files with the content collector tool, when I go over to my with comps, which is on a new file, and I go links, and I'll just go update all links, you will see that it updates all my with comps exactly the same changes that I've done on the letterheads. Because rather than making a document that's just standalone, I've made a parent document, and from that parent document, I've made all the other documents. Now, I'm going to show you how to do it, but I'm going to show you one other thing, why it works so well. Because if I've accidentally typed the phone number wrong on this particular document, and I transpose the numbers, it should be 50, not 59, and I save the master document, I might say, right, I've done that save on the letterhead, and this happens so often, it's not funny, and then all of a sudden, right, we do the letterheads, all right, okay, we send them a copy of the letterhead, we're going to do that change in all the documents, and all of a sudden, we do it on the letterhead, we do it on the email header, we do it on the business cards, and then we print the with comps, and no one's changed it on the with comps, so the with comps get printed all with the wrong number. But by doing it this way, using the context collector, when it comes time for me to create the with comps, and I go to press print, it says, it'll come up with a message, you've also in it, there's an update, one of your links needs updating. And you can see here the link needs updating. If I go in here and I hit update link, you can see, just for everyone at the back, the phone number has now changed on my with comps as well. Now, I found this as a real asset. Is there anyone using this tool out there? One. Okay, that's good. So I'm going to show you how easy it is. So that means if there's no one using it out there, when you accidentally click on this tool here, it comes up on screen, you go, oh no, I've clicked the wrong tool instead of the type tool. That's what everyone's doing. Right, I can tell. So it's so easy to use, and I teach people to use it, and they ring me up and go, this has saved us so much time. So first of all, I made a mistake. I should have just done all my stationery in one document. So I should have just had one document with all my stationery in it. So I need with comps. I should just drag a page down here like that with comps, go down to my multiple page go down to my custom page size, say my with comps, I want them 210 by 99. Are people out there using different size pages in their documents? Yep, great. Okay, that's how I should be doing it. That's how we should be doing it these days. We don't want 50,000 files, business cards, with comps, envelopes. We should be just making them out of the one document so it all stays and works together. The next thing I do is I know that I've got this text up the top here, okay, and I've grouped it. It's all individual elements in InDesign, so you can see it's all edible InDesign. I group it to make it easier for me, okay? I don't have to group it. And then I've got one orange box down the bottom and one bit of text down the side here. All I do with that tool that's not the text tool, right, is I go in here and I say, I want to collect some items. So I'm going to collect that, I'm going to collect that, and I'm going to collect that. Simple as that. So you can see they collect in my content collector. Now there's two options I've got when I go to the next page. When I go to my next page, I've collected them with the left-hand box, so I want to chuck them out with the right-hand box. Now I can say, once I chuck them out, to go out of the box, or I've got an option, once I place them, keep them in they call that the conveyor, keep them in the conveyor, because I want to do multiple artworks afterwards. In this case, I'm just going to say place once, and we'll get them out of the conveyor. So all I do is I place that onto the document there, whereabouts I want it, I place the bar down the bottom where I want it, and I place the box there. Naturally, it's totally edible. I can move it all around the page like so. I can move it all around like that till I'm happy. There's my letterhead, there's my with comp. Once again, client makes a mistake and says, I'm really not happy with the orange bar at the top. I'd rather see that circle in blue. So all you do is change that circle to blue, and you'll see that when I change it to blue there, and I go to my links, it changes to blue on the with comps as well. So therefore now if I hadn't have updated that links then, when I close the document, and I'll do something behind here just to show you what would happen, I'll just go, don't save. I'll go into that with comps that I got on screen to show you something. The minute I open the with comps, it says, do you want to update links? I go update links. It's done something weird there. But because I've changed the content collector, because I changed the parent company and I made another parent from the parent company, that's how it hasn't worked. But if I change the parent all the time, but I started it again by going in and opening up new ones. But essentially, that whatever changes I make to that parent page, if I go in here and I change the dive store logo, and I go to my links, I hit update, it's going to change on everything through the document. So it means you only have to do the change once. You don't have to open up multiple documents because your one document's got all the different pages in it, whether it's 20 stationery items or 2 stationery items, and you don't have to make any changes there. Has anyone got any questions on that content maker there? Yes, yeah. Yeah. all attempts that I've had to change the file, I haven't been happy with, so I always just change the parent one all the time, okay? Yep. Good question, because I wanted to show everyone both things. To tell you the truth, I found the content correct. If I drag this into my CC library and I make a change, like into there, and it opens it up in InDesign, I make the change, it has to make the change in InDesign document, I've had not as much success that change updates everywhere, okay? So, no, it's not, because that's not, if I make the change, I'll show you something now that'll do it, that'll show, if I make this document, I blow this up, all right? Because that's a good question, because when I first did it, I thought the same thing. So on this particular artwork, see how the artwork is an InDesign file, okay? So when I edit that in InDesign, it actually updates in all my things. So it's an Illustrator document. So if I go right here and I go right click, I'll just go down smaller, and I go edit, it opens up here, I'm going to select that text down the bottom, so you can see that text is now orange in Illustrator. If I hit Command S and go Command W and open this document up, you can see straight away it turns the text to orange in our document. Now the other question that I thought, but if I do that with the InDesign file and I change the InDesign file, opens up in InDesign, you'll notice that it doesn't work, it won't bold. If I bold that text, or black that text, and save it, you notice that it doesn't bold it in the document. That's the reason that I've found that, for me personally, I've found it's better to use the content creator for actually content in there, but for images, it will work, but not for content, okay? So that's where I've used the content creator. Really, in this situation, for the CC library, you want to have that this is final, so you drag it in, so then when the next person uses the artwork, they're dragging that finished artwork straight into their document like that. Okay, sure enough, they can edit it if they wanted to, but that's the idea, is that it's finished artwork that goes into that CC library, as opposed to editing files that they're going to edit. They have the ability to edit them if they want to, but we want to be having our CC libraries with finished artwork. Okay, one other thing I want to also show you is that because I made that change on this particular CC library, on that file, if I go back to my original files, I'm just going backwards and forwards here a bit, sorry, but if I go back to my original file and open up, you can see it's also changed on the original file. So why that's important, if I had shared this CC library with someone in the audience, and we had shared and collaborated, if I just shared, they would have only got the original file, but if I'd hit shared and collaborate, any changes that I'd made to the CC library would also be updated on their end. So if we've been working in an environment where lots of designers are working, everyone's logo would update to the orange down the bottom. That's why it works great. You're not going to have different people using different files, and that's the benefit of using the CC library. Yep. Yep, that's fine. That's fine. Yep, I can show you that, because I tested that. All these things you see, I'm like yourself. I just go through and I test them all myself to see that they work. So I'll have to blow this up on screen just so you can see it. Can you see that drop shadow there, okay? Yep. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll drop that logo in now. Now you see the difference now. When I dropped that picture in there, when last time I got the picture in there, I'll just blow it up. See how it says Artwork 6, right? And it's got InDesign beside it. Because I've dropped that file from InDesign, it's an InDesign file. It's not the Illustrator file. When I've got the Illustrator file in there, I've dragged and dropped it from Illustrator into the document, okay? But I've dragged and dropped this from InDesign. So when I use that on a new page now, and I just drag and drop that onto a new page, you can see, and I'll just put a blue, I'll put an orange shadow on it so see actually the orange box so you can see it. Different layer. Sorry, I've got layers in this document. So you can see now that the actual text has still got the drop shadow, and if I was enlarging it, yeah. Okay. So it's really just to give us that file with the exact same drop shadow. So someone doesn't put a 50% drop shadow on, and the next person put, oh no, that's, you've obviously had the issue. Someone else puts a different drop shadow. They're going to get this consistency. That's what we're looking for, the consistency in our artworks. Okay? It is a real handy tool. And I mean, as I said to you, I'm only showing you the sort of the beginner's bit of CC libraries. If you download Carrie's one and you're really interested in CC libraries, that will be the best. I'll take one more question and then we'll move on. No, you've got to edit the master page because the master page is your master element. You know, I'll talk to you about that at the end. That'll be the easiest way to do that one, okay? Because it'll go from one thing to the other. Just keep moving on. All right. I'm happy to answer any questions at the end, guys. So don't think if you something you want to ask me at the end, it doesn't matter, simple or hard. Happy answer. If we don't know the answer, we'll find out. All right. So what was on? All right, so there was another part of this that I was going to do, but I'm still going to do it. So boxes on page. I find there's two types of designers. There's designers that just draw things on the page randomly and make it all look pretty. Put your hand up if you're one of those designers. There's no right or wrong designers. Everyone does everything different, right? So they'll just put things on the page, type, placeholder text, and they just move things around till it looks pretty, okay? We've got those type of designers, and they're a lot more artistic. And then you've got the OCD designers like myself that want everything to be exactly 10 mils this way and 10 mils that way, because we design books and we want everything to be lined up at the back, and we've got some mental issues that I can't handle anything being. I see jobs and I want them lined up. So one additional tool that I've seen, which has been a great asset to someone with my problems, has been the smart guides. Does everyone love the smart guides in the room? Does anyone hate them? I know people that hate them. So I see jobs and I see this type of thing happening, and it's only a couple of mils, right? And I'm reading it somewhere, and and it really kills me. It really hurts me when I see those things, okay? So for the simple fact that you can just simply go up here and make everything line up, and even your gaps in the middle can line up, then we can drag down and we can do things that way. Now, we've also got the other option here of going edit, step and repeat. And I know people used to know that step and repeat used to only go one way, but everyone now knows step and repeat has got the grid on it for some time, and we can create grids. We can just go 55, 55. And we can create grids. Everyone's been using our step and repeat with our grids. Just nod your head, yep. Okay, so now that's how we should be creating our document. So we get the nice even space, and people like me don't get heart palpitations when you see your jobs. When I see this little thing here and this one box is out and I can't help myself. Right? So, and we've also got our smart guides that go into the centre of the page and show us where the centre page. I love smart guides. I think they're great. The other option is, I've shown you lots of different ways to place our images in quick today. The one that I love is placing with the loaded gun, where we select, say, 5 or 6 images on a page. We hit open, and then you see from my cursor key, you see how all the images are loaded in the gun. And then I simply just hit option click on each particular image where I want it to go. I want that image. I go up, down, arrows. No, that's the one I want in there. I put that one in there. I'll put the bananas in there, and a real time saver when maybe we're doing headshots for somewhere and we're trying to put lots of images in, and then I can just fit content to page, easy that. Anyone else been using the loaded gun? Good, okay. So we've got things like that to make our life a lot easier placing images. So what I want to show you on this particular page here is controlling layers in our InDesign documents, okay. So this is something really simple, but I'd use this simple one so people can see how easy it works. So if I go to my links and I go to Edit Original from my links panel, it'll bring up this particular file. Now, this particular file, I'm trying to simulate that I've done a whole heap of headshots for a company. And these days, people aren't happy with the headshots a photographer takes. They want you to put pretty backgrounds on the background, and they want to change their mind about 10 times on what particular background is. Now, yes, I could have just done this job with a transparent background in Photoshop and put in InDesign with a picture on the back of it. But what I'm trying to show you here is we might have a front cover design and we want to do all these, we've got different layers, we might have done up 10 different covers, and we don't want to have 10 different Photoshop files for the cover. We just want to have one Photoshop file and turn the layers on and off in InDesign. So on this document, I've got all the headshots in the one document, okay? So what I can do, first of all, if I delete this particular file and I go File, Place, I have to show people this function because I would get called once a week by people saying, how do I do this? Okay, so basically, so there is a button that says Options when we're importing a picture. Now, I know a lot of you are nodding your head, yeah, we know that, but so many people ask me this. And why do they ask me this? They ask me this because they're bringing a PDF file into a document. They want to bring page 10 in only. And I'll do it later on if someone wants to see. We've got the option of just going page 10 of 500 rather than bringing the whole PDF file in. So basically from here, if I've got a PDF file or a Photoshop document with layers, I can turn those layers on and off in the actual image's output as I'm bringing the image in. So if I've got a picture of Mark, instead of the picture of Melissa, I can bring it in and the picture of Mark comes in like that. But I'm using the same Photoshop file to do it. Now I've got Melissa on this one, Melissa on this one, these two are Melissa, and I put Mark in that one. I forgot Brett. I don't have to delete it to go back in and bring Brett's photo in. I can just go from the Objects window and I can just go Object Layer Options, and from here, in InDesign, I can say, turn off Melissa and show me Brett. And I can hit OK, and we can see the picture of Brett. I could even go so much further to say, right, they just want to have a blue background behind the picture, so I can just go, right, Object Layers, turn off the city background, turn off the other coloured city background, and just put them all onto a... Sorry. And just put them all on a colour that I've picked directly from InDesign because it's a transparent background. So rather than having, if I had 20 photos, I could just have one Photoshop document with all those 20 headshots on and control all the deep etch headshots directly from InDesign. I find it a real time saver when I'm doing it. Now the next thing I want to show you here, I'll just put Brett back to the normal one. The next thing I want to show you here is there's another tool in here that I don't see people using much, but I find it quite handy. It's called the Gap tool. Does anyone use the Gap tool? Yeah, so where I find the Gap tool great, if I've got a job like this and I think I'm cropping their heads off and I want to just do them all at the one time, I can just use the Gap tool to bring their heads up. I can also say I want to show more of them, but I want to reduce the yellow, and I can just bring the Gap tool down like this. Now, the other thing people say to me is when I do this, they say, that's fine, you've done that, but I want to increase the actual size of in between. And I don't want to go back, because I used to say to people all the time, well, just go into your window, object styles, go into your align tool, and I said, just put in the figure you want and do it that way. And they always say to me, but I don't know the figure I want. So there is a hidden tool in InDesign that you can do it with. If you select the whole InDesign pictures and you go down the end there and you start to drag and then hold down the space bar, wait for the preview to come up, you can see that you can increase the gap automatically. And if you hold down the Shift key, it'll keep it in proportion with each other. So you can just increase the gap just like that. So that's holding down Shift, holding down the whole lot and holding down the space bar. And then using our smart guides, we can line up their bio text directly underneath and everyone's happy. Now, I was expecting someone to yell at that stage when I blow these up, and I'll just do it again. When I blow these up this way, just holding down the Shift key and that, you'll notice that the headshots haven't moved and the names have changed the same way. And everyone says when they've done it, well, it didn't work at my end. How we fix that problem is from the headshots, just choose on the headshot fit to frame, auto fit, and now when I blow them up, you'll see that they go the same way. I like to show everyone the problems that you're going to have, not just show you, oh wow, this works, and you go back to your own desk and it doesn't work. The other thing too is you notice that the name and their title hasn't changed there. It's only increased the box. It hasn't changed the name and the title. The best way for you to do that would be then to type in a percentage, and you'll see if I type in 130, the actual title of their name has changed too, and I can show you that's changed by, you can see it says 13 point, but in brackets it says 16 points up the top there, because it's now gone from 13 point to 16 point something point. Okay? Yep. Yep. Yeah. No, I would, when I'm doing the text like that, I use a percentage to do it for that same issue, or have it locked as I did in the first one where we resized. That's why you're better off using the liquid thing to resize so it does it, or group the text together. Worst case scenario, a way that I've got out of that problem, because I've experienced the same thing, if you know the document's final and you don't have to make any changes, convert text to curves. Everyone knows how to do convert text to curves in the room. One tip, I would never stand in a forum and advise someone to use fonts online that they're not supposed to, but sometimes it accidentally happens and you've forgotten how to do it. And if you accidentally picked up one of those fonts online that you're not supposed to use, and you're doing your job, and then you go to press Save PDF File and it comes up with that message, you're using an unlicensed font, or you don't have this font, or that font doesn't have a thing, there is one little way out of it, which I never showed anyone, even though it's been recorded, that you can just go create outlines, and then when you make the PDF file, that font will stay in the document. And it's something that people need to know. So if you've done a whole lot of text in a document and you go to make the PDF file and you're loving it, it looks great, and you go, oh no, the font don't embed. All you do is select that text, go into type, create outlines, because then the font is no longer a font anymore, it's not needed to the document, and then you can easily export that file to a PDF file. We'll delete that off the recording. Okay, right. Okay, so at the end of the day, and these are some of the tips that we need to know, because at the end of the day, you've designed a job, a client's approved it, and my job is to make sure that job prints. And we all want it to print exactly as you see it on screen, and they're the things that are going to ensure that you do print it exactly as it is on screen. Now, one of the other things I want to show you is, I really love this. You know, everyone just types text and it looks good, but when you want a heading, you really want your heading to stand out. Now, we can do that with filters in InDesign, which we're going to go have a look a bit later on, and we can do it with different fonts. But one thing I really like is I try to encourage designers out there to use GIMPs. So I always pronounce it wrong, GLIMPs. Someone can tell me the exact way to do it. But basically, it's extended letters within our standard font. And I love them. So for instance, where it says Staff Profile, I could go and find a better S in here. Now, in the latest version of InDesign, there's been a real cool addition where when you select a text, and if it's an open type font, you can actually click on the little button below here and click on the swash font there, and you can see it just gives my heading text that little bit extra finesse. It also makes it a nightmare when someone's trying to recreate your document and find the font, because they can never find them. So you're trying to protect your fonts too. I just find it a real nice little just extra document to make your document stand out from everyone else's. All right, the next document I've got on screen, it's just something real simple, but I find it's something that people don't seem to know exists when adding text. So I've got this particular document here, and it's one text box, and I'm a great believer in one text box. Now, is there anyone out there that does their returns by hitting return, return, return? Okay, because it's probably better if you leave now. Because it just does my head in. That's my classic word user. And if there is people that, if you get those documents with the return, return, return in them, or you get the space bar, the space bar, the space bar in them, okay, and you send them to me, you'll notice that I straight away go up to Command F, and I just go in here and I go multiple return to single return, change all, one replacement made, and I'll go in here, multiple space to single space, change all, and return here, and I take them out that way. Also, there's another one here. It says remove trailing white space, change all, okay, done. So that is something, if you send your document to me, I'll do straight away to it because I cannot stand it. There are some cases where people want the multiple space in the start of questions, start of documents for corporate documents, so I wouldn't recommend doing on every job, but definitely the return thing kills me. Okay, so what I wanted to show you in this document wasn't return, but what I wanted to show you is that I've got a document and I like just having one text box. I find it so much easier to manage. I don't have to move text boxes around and things like that. So what I'll do, a document like that, and it's a bookwork, I like to keep it as one text box. Okay, so I want that text to go all the way across the page, but I've got two columns. If I turn off preview mode, you'll see that I've got two columns in this particular document. Now, we all know how to adjust our columns and everything like that, so I don't need to show you that today. But what I do need to show you is there's some hidden features right on the far right-hand corner of InDesign. There's some hidden features down the end here. And one of those hidden features is the span columns. Is there anyone out there using this? Good. Okay, so basically what I can do is from span columns, I can click that there, and I can hit OK, and it's taken it's what it said. It says, I'm going to disregard the columns, and I'm going to span that text over all the columns. So for anyone that's not using, I'll just show you that again. It's over here, and we go span columns, and I'm going to say span columns, all columns, and hit OK. Now, what a lot of people don't know is if we're going to our styles, and we're going to go to our paragraph styles like we were talking about before, if I create new style and I say heading span, basically if I go up to heading text and then I click heading span, I can actually change that in my paragraph styles. So I can have a heading that spans over all the document. Same next on my intro text. I'd want to do the same on my intro text. So I'm just going to go span column. It's a really handy tool when we're just trying to make our book work just look a lot more neater, a lot more professional, but we're still just using the one picture box, the one text box. We're not having to link box to box to box to box. So the next thing I've got in this particular document is I've got some list text down the bottom here. Now, I haven't been that lazy. I have made myself up a list style, which gives me my red number in the middle, red number at the beginning, and my text underneath it. But what it is taking up a fair bit of space still. And you can see if I scroll the document up to the end here, you can see I've got a tied text box. If anyone's not familiar with a tied text box, that's what we call a tied text box, and that means there's extra text in that particular text box. But I know that I want to keep this text in that same text box, and I don't want to reduce the size of my table below any further. So what I'd like is my apples, my bananas, my apples, and my oranges all on separate text, separate lists in the document. But I don't want to go in and have to go, right, okay, go in here, put in a tab. I don't want to have to do it that way. I want to do it a quick and easy way. So all I have to do is select that particular text there. I go across here and I go back to my span columns again. Except this time, instead of hitting span columns, I hit split columns. Now from my split columns, I can actually say how much I want before the split. I can actually say how big the gutter is in between the split. And I can also say the space before and after the split. And if I've got my preview on, I can put an inside gutter on as well. You can see that, my inside gutter, outside gutter. You can see from that, I've quickly and easily made a 2-column list without having to go in and put a whole heap of tabs in, which drive you insane. Everyone here's got to be hating putting tabs in big documents. Okay, so I find that a real easy way when you're just trying to, rather than tracking your font in and doing all those things too. Now, while I'm here today, because I'm trying to outlaw it so I don't see it anywhere again, I hate forced justification. Is there anyone in this room that likes reading forced justificated text? I absolutely hate it. So don't use it, that's all I'm saying. I just cannot stand it. It just drives me insane. And the other thing is hyphenations. So we all know how to, I'm only telling you this, most people here know how to do it, but I have to tell people because I'm just trying to outlaw these things. So just hyphenations in your slide, just turn them off. Like, just don't have them. We don't need them. Our hyphenations for years ago when we used to have typewriters and stuff like that, we don't need it now. We got the... How about I'll show you in your settings. If I could arrange that, I'll get it sorted. But I hate them. I hate them. Like, there's some other hates too. So, yeah, so turn them off and everyone will read things a lot easier and a lot better, okay? Tables. Is everyone doing tables in InDesign? I was probably slow to get on the tables. Like, I wasn't really when I first started using InDesign, I was like, oh, a table, and I'd be screwing my face up and hate it and stuff like that. I've actually come to love them, and I'm using tables for a lot more things because the tables function themselves become a lot more user-friendly. The way tables has changed over the years. So if you were like me back in the early days and you weren't using tables, I guarantee to give them another list now because they're so much better. You've got same as your object styles, you've got table styles and that. One thing I've found's great, and there'll be people here that go, yeah, I do that, is that when you're putting images into tables, if you see I've got the images in the tables there, well, if I actually click on my table and move it around, apart from the grapes, you'll see that all images move with the table. And that's because you can now place images directly into the table thing. Now, people say to me, why do you care so much about that, Aaron? Well, where I do care about it is when I am squeezing for space on a page, and I've done it the old-fashioned way where someone sticks a picture box over the top of the page. Does anyone do it this way? They stick a picture box over the top of it, and the picture box has to be moved around, and then I move the table around, it's not grouped, and the picture box moves. But where it also becomes a pain is if I need to reduce the size of that header, I can quickly and easily, with my table, just go in and reduce the header and that like that, but my grapes are wrong. So it's so simple to put a picture into a table. We just click on the cell, select the cell, Control D or File Place, find our picture, grapes, here somewhere. And our pictures quickly go into our table now. So I know that it's something, it's not that new, but it is something that I see a hell of a lot where people aren't doing it. The other reason too is that in this particular document, if I go into preview mode, you can see that I've put no white space between my actual table. There's no white space going down in between. But then you'll get a client say, oh, but I really want to see those, the white spaces in between. As a designer, you just roll your eyes and you're thinking, why? But you have to do it because they're the client. So by doing it this way, when you do put the white space in between, and I'm just doing this the quick way without going to tables, you can see that it's easy and it adjusts everything straight away. And I was just too lazy last night to fill in the rest of the table, sorry. Because I couldn't be bothered adding up all the percentages, and if I did it wrong, someone would find it. So, yeah, so basically, I just find it as an easier way to control your images and your table, once again, back as one box. I know the great thing for InDesign is the fact that we can put boxes all over the page, and believe me, when I'm selling InDesign to our Word friends out there, and I'm saying, you know, I basically tell them InDesign is Word on steroids. Everything that you couldn't do in Word, you can do in InDesign. And when I'm telling them that, I'm just like, you can draw a box when you want something here, and then when you want another box, you can draw another box over here, and it's unreal. And then I get into a class with advanced people, I'm saying, just use minimal boxes. So I change my mind depending on who I'm talking to, but as advanced users, you know the problems when you're using boxes and boxes and boxes, especially when we're saying resizing before, and you get those problems. So if we can really design using the functions of InDesign as opposed to putting 50 boxes on the page, you're going to find that your work's more fluent, your PDF files, everything's just going to work more fluently on your documents. Okay, I'm just looking at the time while I'm doing this, sorry. So far, so good. Okay, so before our question and answers, which I think I was supposed to already up to, I just want to show one other thing, and most people in the room are going to know this, but I just want to show it just in case there's people that haven't seen it. Today I've really just gone from more so the functionality of InDesign, how you can work more seamlessly and quicker and get your results out better. But what I do want to show people is that there's a lot of things that we used to do in Illustrator and Photoshop that we can now do in InDesign. For instance, I know I've shown you to place your pictures today, and I know I've shown you to put your pictures in through the object styles, but there's a lot of circumstances these days where you're just going to get your InDesign, Illustrator, picture, and you're just going to place it directly into InDesign. It's probably massive, this thing. Here it is. And why that's great is, although this is a one-off, say, it's not something that's going to be a mass-produced thing, it gives us, we've got the functionality now in InDesign to fully edit that image. So if I wanted to change just parts of that bloke and make him, make him orange, an orange man. Maybe I wanted to just ungroup him and make one of the water bubbles white. I can do that. So that's a function that is a new thing that we're doing in InDesign that we weren't doing for years. So you might find you've got that job and you don't want to keep switching back from Illustrator to InDesign. It's fine to just copy your files directly into InDesign and work directly on your Illustrator documents in InDesign. I wouldn't start drawing circles and drawing lines and doing that sort of stuff in InDesign. It's a little bit more clunkier than it is in Illustrator, but just for copying things in or making little changes and stuff like that, I think it works great, and you'll find it's good. The other thing is one of my, someone asked me before, and I should just go through, we do have an effects thing which everyone in this room should be using. When they first put this in InDesign, I must laugh, it was 20 years ago, every single job had a drop shadow on it. Nearly every bit of text had a drop shadow on it when it first came in. Now we find that we've gone full backflip. More of our jobs now are more crisp and clear. We don't want the ugly drop shadows on it. We only really use it if we're trying to put a text over top of an image and you can't see it. But it was for years there, everything had a drop shadow, everything had a bevel emboss. So, we've got that function in here. It works really fine. Those of you that have been using it for some time, it works fine with spot colours. There used to be sometimes we had troubles with the spot colours. So you can see we've got all these functions. We'll do the old bevel and emboss as well. So we've got all these old functions that we can use just to make our document just that little bit more engaging. Now, the one thing that I love, and anyone out here that's had to blend images in Photoshop would really love this, is that when we actually used to blend it, if I wanted to blend these images years ago, I would have to open up Photoshop, I would have to quickly blend them, find the right image. It was a job to do that in Photoshop. Where now, I can simply just click on that, go into my effects, go into my directional feather, and I can say, from the right-hand side, blend that 3mm, and I go to this image here, and I go Object Effects, Directional Feather. From the left-hand side, I can blend that, not too many, I can blend that many mils, and then I can get the actual document here, I can go in the middle here, and I can flip it around easy, and I can easily just, thought it's probably flipped in the right way. And I can easily just enlarge and I can just move things around nice and easy, and I can make a nice blended collage in InDesign, a lot better than that, and I can do that quickly and easy. The beauty of me doing it in InDesign is that, as you can see, they've all got the Adobe watermark on the top of them. So I've done that with pictures that I haven't had to purchase. So if I had to do this in Photoshop for a concept or a brief, and they wanted to see 10 concept and briefs, I'm going to have to buy the images. Now, in the old days when you used to buy images, you used to buy small ones to do it, and then you'd have to buy the big ones and redo the work again. But the beauty of doing this sort of stuff directly in InDesign is that I can do that in InDesign. I can show the client, they can go, yep, I love it, it's great. Oh, can you change the image on the left? Can you change the image on the right? I do it, and then at the end, all I do is go into my licensing and go update image, and Adobe Stock will automatically update the image in InDesign, and I don't have to redo all that work again. Now, it's not much work in InDesign, as you can see, but if you were doing that in Photoshop, you're basically redoing the job twice. So that's a big area where I've seen, just with image fading and blending and stuff like that, where you're better off using InDesign to do it rather than Photoshop. Now, I'm not saying don't use Photoshop, because I love Photoshop. It's awesome. But where you can do things in InDesign, you're better off doing it in InDesign. I mean, hopefully there's no one in the room designing whole pages in Illustrator, where I get that all the time, and I do tell people that you've got to really understand where each program sits within its suite. Illustrator's for illustrations, for drawings, for logos. Photoshop is where we do our Photoshop work, our touching, fancy logos. And InDesign is where we just bring everything together. And that's the main purpose of InDesign. And InDesign is better suited for us outputting our files, and it's just a much cleaner and easier work platform to use than the other two for doing page layouts, especially multiple pages and that. Okay, so that sort of concludes everything that I was going to go through today. As I said, I'm open for any questions, and we can open up any files, but I hope that gave everyone just a little bit of feedback or a little bit of information. If everyone takes away one or two things today, I'll be happy, because I was trying to make it broad range, and good luck with your designs. Thank you. Yeah, anyone wants questions, they can.
Are the Adobe Stock images big enough for an A1 poster?
Yes.
Got a question coming back there.
I do posters. I've just done two. They're getting done today at the factory. I've got the boys doing them that are life-size people ones that have Adobe Stock images, so they've been fine. But it's not, I can't say that for every image. You've just got to check the image naturally.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. With Creative Cloud and and dragging your icons across,
Yes.
can it take any size icon? We're working currently for an event with like a 30 meg Illustrator graphic.
I personally haven't had any issues, right?
Oh,
but I'm
cool.
not going to say you're never going to get the spinning ball. I can't stand here and say that, because it all depends on your system, your RAM and things like that. But I personally I do a lot of stuff on this laptop here, which is 2 years old now, this laptop, and I've not had any issues. And I'm doing a lot of signage work, so my files are not like, your bit logo on a business card. They're massive files,
Yes,
and I haven't had any issues at all yet. Touch
So
wood.
it's the actual original image. It's
Yep.
not an emulation of it, a small
Um,
scaled down
it's-
emulation of
It's
it.
a link. There's a link to the image. I'd have to test it properly, but in my environment, I haven't had any problems, but I haven't had to send it out to... I'm usually the one doing it, and it's done in our little environment, so I haven't had to send it out to someone externally to do it. So I don't want to answer that without knowing it 100%, okay? But I can find out for you, okay?
Hi. I know you can share your creative libraries with
Yes,
everyone, but is there a way to manage them by saving them elsewhere rather than having a massive list of multiple different jobs? And then, then you have to manage that in that way as well, so then you're going backwards and forwards.
I honestly don't know if there's a way. I'd be honest with you, I went through last night and deleted about 20, so I didn't have to sort through 20 when I was in here today, because the person can always just share them back to me. There's two ways to do it. One way is we share, okay? Now, if you kept those share emails, the person could always just, because once it's been shared to someone, there's two things. A share is you're actually sending them the file, so then it becomes theirs, okay? So there's no link back to it, okay? So you're actually sending them the information, which resides on your Creative Cloud. So you could share them out and then grab the share yourself and then reload it back up. But the option two, which there would be a trouble, is you share and collaborate, which means when you share the Creative Cloud library, basically any changes you make to it, the other person changes too. I would 100%, as I said, Carrie's doing just designated for the whole hour on Creative Cloud. God love her. But I would really recommend you, just if you're really interested in the Creative Cloud, which I suggested to everyone, is downloading and watching that, because just seriously, you probably, if you said to Carrie pause and stuff like that, she might come and bite you. But I would really, you'd want to pause it, do it yourself, then play it again, and that's the way that I'll do it, and test it in your own environment. Okay. But it is really the future for us doing sharing files and that in an advertising agency type of arena. You can see it works so well.
So if I deleted it, being the creator of,
do you know what? After I finish the questionnaire, I'm going to try it for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm just wondering, what's the difference between liquid layouts and the way you showed us how to create different sizes within the same document?
With a liquid layout, okay, I actually went through and I got the liquid layout to control reducing it. So I said, when I did a liquid layout, and I'll just open it up because a picture's 1,000 words. So in this particular document, I went in here and I just said, basically, when I said create a new document, I just went down here and made the size, and I just told it to go the size. But when I went to the liquid layout way, I went in here and I went duplicate spread, okay, and then I went here to the page tool, and I actually told it to be DL through the scale function. So I control it. See, I don't have to do scale. I can do recenter and go DL, and it just does that. I chose the scale function to scale it down. So when I just make that page size DL, it's kept it in the A4 size, and then I have to manually go in and change it to the size like that, okay? And you can see your problem straight away. The text has all gone picture text box and things like that, where if I've done it as the liquid layout and I've done it this way, and I've said duplicate spreads, and I go into the liquid layout way and I say scale, oops, sorry, wrong one, scale DL, you can see it scales it down for me. I don't have to do the scale. So there is rules within liquid page rule, like you center, object based, global based, and that. I use the one today that's gonna. I'm not going to use one that's going to center and then the fonts aren't going to work and everyone goes, "What's the point of that?" I've got to show you one that actually, works for the actual situation that you're in. I wouldn't do it any other way except for using scale, to tell you the honest truth, because of that same problem you have with the fonts. I've experienced that myself. That's why I use the liquid way of doing it on scale. To be perfectly honest, it's not set on scale as a default. I believe it should be, okay? Yeah, you can't. As I said, there's many other ways to do it, and that's. I really should emphasise that today, because some people get worried. There's no right or wrong way to do your artwork. If you're doing your artwork and you're getting a result, and your clients are paying the bills, and you're happy with it, and everyone's raving about it, you're fine. There's no right way or wrong way to do things. And the way I've shown you today, if you do it another way, that's perfectly fine, as long as you're getting the results. The object of me being here today is to show you a way that might save you time, okay? So that's probably the answer to that question. Yeah, the lady behind you, sorry. Oh, sorry.
Hi.
Sorry.
I was just wondering, in InDesign, when you're working in a document and you've got all these pages with the same artwork, all different sizes, is there a way to just quickly see the dimensions of each different page without going into the...
No.
No?
Sorry.
Okay.
That's a quick answer. All you do is you click on the page and you just you have to go down there and it tells you. But no is the answer.
All right.
Yeah, I actually, that would be a good feature if you could just click on the side of the page and it says what it was. Yeah. Sorry. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. There's something.
Oh,
Yep.
sorry.
You're right.
Yeah. So
I got the microphone now.
if you've got a layout and you want to do a version of it and you want to call it, it's the premium version, and you put in
Yes.
gold colors, but then there's changes on the main one, and you want to update the second one, but still keep like the local overrides of like the gold color. Is there a workflow for that? I was thinking that the content collector would be good for that, but sounds like don't mess with the child. Like
Yeah. Oh, look, to be perfectly honest, like, it depends. It really depends on the job. Like, the content creator, I think, is great if you're working on a massive campaign. I'd be sort of just getting the parent to control everything, which we probably should do in most environments. But there's going to be those situations where I probably just, for that specialised job, I'd probably just create a copy of it, and then you can just work on the child, and then you don't. I would just copy and paste it, probably, to tell you the truth, because there could be that chance where the collector actually changes something you don't want to change. So if it is something specialised, I would just copy and paste the information from that one into a new document, or delete it and just save that particular page as a separate file, because it's separate. You really wanted to make it separate from your main document then. You just got to be careful then that any changes that you do want to flow through aren't going to flow through on that particular one. Does that make sense?
yeah, I was just like, it's a better way to say it. Like, so it's like two different visual styles, but I want to update the content on both.
Yeah, that'd be fine. That would be fine. Because remember, I understand what you're saying now. I could just on that particular document. That's a good question. I just worked out what you're saying. You might say to yourself, right, I've got another page on this document, and I'm just going to go. Insert pages, I'll just insert one. Okay, so I've got this one page, and let's say on page 2, I've got this on page 2, and just to be crazy, just so you can see, I've got this thing here, and colour, swatches. That's my second design, you might say. But even though that's my second design, I still know that the actual text down here you want to keep the same, because that relates to each other. What I can do is I can go to my content creator, I can just go click on that text there, I can go to this page here, I can just go put that text onto that page there. Now, although the tops of the page is different, if I still edit the text on the parent page that holds the text that I've got consistent on both documents, if I delete that, and then I go onto my second page, in my links, I update it. It's only going to update that particular text. Is that what you mean?
It's very close. Sorry.
Yeah. So I can just have similar elements. I don't have to have the exact elements from one. So when I did the with comp, I didn't do it. I could have actually had other text on there that said with comp. I could have had all other text on that page. It doesn't have to be the same. Although I did in my example duplicate all the information, so it gives a bit more of a wow factor on team. In most situations, you might only want one or two elements to be linked to the parent page. Okay? Yep. Oh, sorry.
Recently, I've been getting lots of clients asking me to develop infographics.
Yes.
And I just want to know what you recommend is the best program to create those in, like pie charts and bar graphs and all that sort of stuff.
Infographics. You must be like me. A lot of government agencies now want a picture to tell 1,000 words.
Bingo.
And I've got more infographics on this computer than you could imagine. How I've been doing it, that's where I actually love Adobe Stock Library, because I'll go into it and say someone says, target performance, and I'll just go into Adobe Stock Library and I'll go target performance, and I'll look at all the icons in Adobe Stock, and I'll go for vector all the time, right? And I just go, yep, vector targets performance. I'll take about 10 of them. I'll tweak them in Illustrator. I generally do them in Illustrator, but I don't keep them in Illustrator. I copy and paste them directly into my InDesign document or through the Creative Library, okay? The data part of it's hard, but I'm just really, most times my ones, they just want me to have like, it's an infographic with certain text. It's not the data ones. I'd probably keep them in InDesign, to tell you the truth. Problem is, if you want graphs with them, you're going to have to do them in Illustrator. So you're sort of stuck between Illustrator and InDesign. But yeah, that's going to be on an infographic. Each one's going to be different. Your base thing is always going to be in Illustrator, but I would bring the infographic into InDesign as much as you can, because once you use it once, they always ask for it in 10 other places. So that's where your creative library will work great. Okay. All right, that means no deal. Done? All right, thank you everyone for coming today. Really appreciate it, and I hope it's helped.